the warning came without sound. It arrived as a silent flash across every screen on Earth phones, terminals, street displays, even old machines that should not have been able to receive any signal. For a moment, the world froze as people stared at the glowing symbol that replaced all broadcasts. It looked like a sharp golden crown surrounded by swirling stars. No one knew what it meant, but everyone felt the same cold fear. Then the voice began. It was deep, layered, and not fully human. It echoed as if spoken inside a giant metal chamber. "People of Earth," the voice said, "you stand in violation of the sovereign concord. You will surrender within 24 of your hours. You will kneel, or you will be erased." Across cities, crowds stopped moving. Cars halted in the streets. Airplanes paused on runways. Children in schools stared at the screens as teachers tried to stay calm. Even world leaders busy in secure rooms felt their hands shake. The broadcast continued, showing huge alien ships drifting through blue nebula clouds, their weapons glowing like suns. "We are the rightful rulers of this galaxy. You are nothing. Kneel and live as servants. Resist, and your world will burn." Then the transmission ended. The symbol vanished. And Earth's networks went dark, lights flickered. Entire grids shut down. Satellites began falling out of contact. Cyber attacks hit government systems and private companies all at once. Panic spread within minutes. News stations failed. Radios went silent. All that remained was the memory of the voice and the 24-hour deadline. But far above Earth's atmosphere, hidden in the shadows, something began to move. A fleet black as deep space and silent as a forgotten tomb rested in high orbit. Most people on Earth did not even know it existed. It was called the Black Armada, humanity's most secret project, built in off-world shipyards, staffed with soldiers trained beyond the public eye, designed to fight enemies Earth had never faced before. On the bridge of the flagship, Captain Elias Ward stood watching the replay of the alien ultimatum. He did not shake. His voice did not tremble. His eyes stayed fixed on the glowing image as if studying an old enemy. His officers waited for him to speak. Some were tense. Some were angry. But all of them looked to him for direction. The silence stretched for long seconds, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's core. Then Earth Command appeared on the screen. Their voices were strained and heavy. "Captain Ward, you have seen the message. We need your answer. Do we submit? Do we attempt peace? Or do we prepare for war?" Ward looked at the stars outside the viewport. He knew what surrender would mean. Chains, fear, a future where humanity lived on its knees. A future where children whispered of the day Earth lost its courage. He turned back to the screen and spoke with calm, steady resolve. "We fight," he said, "and we make them regret ever turning their eyes to Earth." At his words, the Black Armada came alive. Lights activated across every hull, glowing like rising storms. Engines powered up with a deep rumble that shook the metal floors. Thousands of crew members rushed into position. The ships began to turn, aligning for a jump into enemy territory. In less than a minute, the entire fleet vanished into hyperspace, heading straight toward the heart of the alien threat. The countdown to Earth's surrender had begun. But humanity was no longer waiting to be saved. Humanity was coming. The Black Armada burst out of hyperspace like a storm breaking open the sky. One moment, the stars were still and silent. The next, 77 human warships appeared at the edge of Sovereign Concord territory, dark, sharp and glowing with cold blue light. No warning, no message, no hesitation. The crew aboard the Concord border station Laroth 2 had no idea what they were seeing. At first, they thought the shadows were sensor errors. The ships were too small for heavy cruisers, too fast for frigates, and too quiet to be legal. Confused officers leaned forward in their chairs, trying to make sense of the readings. Then the human ships moved. They spread out like knives fanning across a table. Black engines flared. Ion trails streaked behind them. Within seconds, they surrounded Laroth 2 on all sides. The station commander, a scaled creature with blue glass-like skin, shouted in panic. "Identify yourselves. This is Concord Space. You will power down and surrender your engines at once." No reply came. Instead, every human ship released a thin, silent pulse of energy. The pulse was invisible, but its effect was instant. Concord sensors shut down. Shield generators died. Weapon systems blinked out. The station drifted helplessly, blind and defenseless. The crew screamed. Unaware they had not been harmed, lonely disabled, Captain Elias Ward watched from his command chair aboard the flagship, Night Reaper. His voice remained calm as he spoke to his officers. "No casualties. No destruction. We are not here to terrorize civilians." His second-in-command nodded. "Orders." Ward's eyes hardened. "Take down every military asset within this system. Leave their people unharmed, but send a message they can't ignore." The battle began with frightening precision. The Black Armada split into strike groups. Each group selected a target: defense towers, patrol ships, communication buoys, and long-range radar platforms. The humans moved like they had practiced this 1,000 times. One ship, the Ghost Hammer, dove straight through an enemy patrol line, its hull absorbing every blast like the shots were nothing but sparks. It returned a single beam of white light that sliced through 3 Concord frigates in one pass, cutting perfectly through their engines without exploding their cores. Another ship, the Silent Veil, used its stealth drives to slip under a battle platform. It shut down the platform's reactor with a targeted EMP burst, leaving it floating uselessly in space. Across the system, Concord officers shouted in confusion. "Who are they? How are they so fast? Why can't we lock onto them? Why are our weapons failing? What are these humans?" Within 20 minutes, the entire border system lay silent. No deaths, no explosions. Just a graveyard of disabled war machines and powerless structures. When it was over, Captain Ward ordered a single transmission to be broadcast across the nearest Concord command channel. "This is the Black Armada. Earth does not kneel." Then the humans vanished into hyperspace once more, leaving the stunned aliens behind. But their strike had consequences. Rumors began spreading through Concord space. Ships carried whispers. Stations buzzed with fear. Entire worlds asked the same trembling question: what kind of humans fight like this? And far deeper in the galaxy, the Sovereign Concord's High Council received the first report of their defeat. They laughed at it. They called it a lie. They believed no human fleet could possibly harm them, but very soon they would learn the truth, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Sovereign Concord had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They crushed rebellions. They erased planets. They bent entire species to their will. So when the first reports of a human victory arrived, the High Council simply dismissed them. "They are insects," one counselor said. "They have only one homeworld," said another. "They cannot challenge us," a third declared. And so they made a decision that would become a historic mistake. They dispatched 1,000 ships to deal with the small human problem, not their best ships, not their elite soldiers. Just a sufficient force, enough, they believed, to swat an annoying fly. The Concord fleet assembled near a large red gas giant. Rows upon rows of gray metal cruisers gathered in formation. Their weapons glowed with warm red energy. Their commanders chatted confidently. Across open channels, humans will run when they see us. They might surrender. before we even have to fire. This will be an easy victory. But they were wrong. Very wrong. Because the Black Armada did not run. They arrived. The humans exited hyperspace in a silent wave. Dozens of black ships appeared without flash or sound, as if they had been waiting there the whole time. Their metal hulls reflected nothing, not the starlight, not the enemy ships, not even weapon scans. It was like staring into moving shadows. At first, the alien commanders laughed. These are the human ships. So small. They have no heavy cannons, no massive shields. They must be slow, weak, fragile. Then 3 Black Armada ships glided forward, just 3. The alien admiral ordered a warning blast. A single fire line meant to scare the humans. A bright beam shot out across space, fast and powerful. But the human ships didn't dodge or shield themselves. They simply faded. The beam passed through empty space. Confused, the admiral blinked. Where did they go? The answer came too late. One by one, the missing ships reappeared behind the Concorde formation, silent and deadly. Their hulls shimmered as cloaking fields dropped. Small ports opened along their sides, glowing with blue-white fire. This time, it was the humans who fired. Their shots were thin, precise lines of light so sharp they left glowing trails in the dark. Each shot cut through an enemy ship's engines, slicing them clean open without causing explosions. Concorde ships drifted helplessly, disabled before they could even aim. The admiral panicked. All units, fire. Fire everything. Thousands of beams shot forward, but the humans were already gone. The Black Armada split into attack patterns, weaving through enemy lines like dancers in a silent storm. Their moves were too fast, too smooth, too perfectly coordinated. Within 10 minutes, the mighty Concorde fleet collapsed. Some ships spun out of control. Some went dark. Some tried to flee, only to be pinned down by precision strikes. Some tried to flee, only to be pinned down by precision strikes. And when the last shot faded, the battlefield was filled with drifting alien ships, powerless and beaten without a single human loss. The Concorde admiral, shaken and breathless, sent one final message to his government. Do not underestimate the humans. They fight like something new, something the galaxy has never seen. But the warning came too late. The Black Armada had just begun. The sovereign Concorde had always appeared calm and proud, an ancient empire that believed every world would eventually kneel before them. Their halls of government were carved from glowing crystal. Their banners hung like burning suns. Their counselors sat on high seats and spoke with cold confidence. But when the message arrived, 1,000 ships lost. Humans responsible. The crystal hall fell silent. Then chaos exploded. Counselors shouted over one another. Generals argued so loudly their voices echoed through the chamber. Advisors ran from side to side, carrying datapads with trembling hands. It was the first time in centuries that fear touched the heart of the Concorde. One counselor slapped the table with all 4 hands. Impossible. Humans are too young, too primitive. Another hissed. Those reports must be fakes. A third officer, older and wiser, stared at the battle footage, the Black Armada weaving through 1,000 ships like shadows passing through fire. His voice shook. This is no lie. The High Commander of the Concorde military, a tall creature wrapped in silver armor, stepped forward. He tried to speak confidently, but even he could not hide the nervous flicker in his eyes. We must crush them before their courage spreads, before other species think rebellion is safe. But another counselor rose, her scales flickering with soft blue light. No, we must talk to them. Humans clearly possess technology we do not understand. Attacking again would be foolish. The room erupted with shouting once more. Negotiate with savages. Send our elite armadas. They disabled 1,000 ships due. You want to lose even more. We were supposed to be untouchable. Old rivalries awakened instantly. Factions formed. Accusations flew. Some blamed the generals. Some blamed the council. Some whispered that the Concorde had grown lazy and blind. And in the deepest corners of the room, some quietly wondered if humans can beat us. Maybe others could too. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the effect of the human victory was spreading fast. On distant mining worlds, alien workers paused their drilling and whispered to each other. Did you hear? Humans defeated a whole armada. On forest planets, hidden resistance groups celebrated in silence. If Earth stands tall, maybe we can too. On trade stations, merchants talked nervously. What if the Concorde loses power? What happens to us? Fear traveled faster than light. And the Concorde felt the ground shift beneath its feet. Back in the council chamber, the argument reached its peak. The High Commander slammed his staff onto the floor, releasing a loud metallic ring that forced everyone to stop talking. There will be one final attack, he said. We will gather our elite fleets, our best admirals, our strongest ships, our newest weapons. The humans will face the full might of the sovereign Concorde. But before he could continue, another general entered the room, sweating with panic. High Commander, he whispered. Another border system has fallen. The humans struck again. Fast, clean, no losses. Silence returned, but this time it was heavy, cold, and full of dread. The High Commander lowered his head. This is no small enemy, he admitted. This Black Armada is a force the galaxy has never seen before, and far away. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Night Reaper. Listening to new intelligence reports, the Concorde was panicking, dividing, weakening. Ward allowed himself a small, grim smile. Good, he said. Fear makes tyrants clumsy. He turned toward the stars where the next battle waited. We move. They wanted submission. His eyes hardened. Let's give them something else. The Black Armada powered up once more, and the galaxy trembled. The Concorde's pride had been wounded. And wounded pride is dangerous. After losing 1,000 ships and several border systems, they decided to set a trap so large, so powerful, that no fleet, human or otherwise, could escape it. They chose a deadly battlefield. The twin suns of Vemeris, two burning stars orbiting each other, their gravity pulling and twisting anything that passed too close. Ships that miscalculated by even half a second would be torn apart. Navigational charts warned all travelers, do not enter unless you seek death. But the Concorde believed this chaotic region would give them an advantage. They gathered 3 elite armadas, their ships coated in heavy armor, cannons bright with red heat, and commanders known for brutality. They hid their forces between radiation clouds and swirling debris fields. Invisible mines floated like silent teeth. Energy nets hummed beneath the glare of the suns. At the center sat a massive flagship, the Imperial Spear, its hull covered with silver spikes. The High Commander himself stood on its bridge, confident at last. When the humans arrive, he told his officers, they will be swallowed by the suns. Their fleet will break. Their pride will end here. But he made one terrible mistake. He assumed humanity would fly like the Concorde. He assumed the Black Armada didn't know how to read stars. He was wrong. Far away, aboard the Night Reaper, Captain Elias Ward studied the gravitational map of the twin suns. The holographic display showed swirling loops of deadly pull, pockets of burning radiation, and hidden points where ship engines would strain to stay stable. Most commanders would avoid such a place. Ward smiled. This is where they are strongest, he said, which means this is where they think we are. weakest. His crew waited for his plan. Ward pointed to several thin blue lines drawn across the star map paths so narrow they looked impossible. We enter through the gravity slingshots, he said. We use the suns themselves to launch us at high speed. No thrusters. No energy trails. They won't be able to track us. His officers exchanged looks of awe and fear. It was risky. It was insane. It was exactly what the Black Armada was built for. The humans jumped into the system. Immediately, alarms blared across the Concorde Armadas. Human fleet entering. Dozens of ships, maybe more. They're coming right toward the kill zone. But something was off. The humans didn't appear on the expected vector. They didn't fly toward the open center where the trap was set. Instead, they appeared inside the plasma stream of the left sun, riding its magnetic waves like surfers on a blazing ocean. Their ships sparkled with burning particles but remained perfectly intact. Then they slingshotted. The entire Black Armada launched forward at impossible speed, streaking across the battlefield like black comets. The Concorde reacted too slowly. Energy nets snapped, but the humans had already passed through. Mines detonated late, hitting only empty space. Several Concorde cruisers fired, but their beams bent under the sun's gravity, missing by kilometers. By the time the Concorde realized what had happened, the Black Armada had formed a perfect attack line behind their fleets. Fire, Ward said calmly. The humans struck with surgical precision. Engines disabled. Weapons disarmed. Flagships crippled. Elite ships rendered powerless. It was not a battle. It was a dismantling. The High Commander stared in horror as his armadas fell apart like sand in heavy wind. No. This cannot be, he whispered. These humans. They fight with the stars themselves. Finally, Ward delivered a single message to every Concorde ship. You wanted Earth to kneel. Instead, you kneel to your own fear. The twin suns burned behind him as the Black Armada vanished, once more into hyperspace, leaving the greatest trap in Concorde history, shattered beyond repair. The Black Armada had become a storm silent, precise, unstoppable. Every system they passed through fell into shock. Some Concorde officers surrendered immediately. Some fled before the humans even arrived. Others tried to stand and were crushed within minutes. And now, the storm turned toward its greatest target, the Concorde capital world Arcane. Arcane was unlike any other planet. It had 7 rings of cities stretching from the ground all the way into the sky. Giant crystal towers shone like rising moons. Defense platforms circled in perfect lines. Millions of soldiers guarded the air, sea, and orbit for 10,000 years. Arcane had stood as the symbol of absolute power. No enemy had ever reached it. No rebellion had ever threatened it. No foreign fleet had ever approached its orbit until today, when the Black Armada exited hyperspace. Their shadows fell across the outer ring of Archeon's defense grid. Alarms screamed instantly. Red lights flashed across every building. Commanders shouted orders through shaking voices. Incoming vessels. Not Concorde. Not any known ally. It's the humans. The Black Armada is here. On the bridge of the Night Reaper, Captain Elias Ward gazed at the glowing planet. His face remained calm, but his eyes carried a sharp, quiet fire. His officers turned to him. Orders, Captain. Ward raised a hand. Activate wideband broadcast. I want every citizen of Arcane to hear this. A soft chime sounded. The channel opened. Ward spoke with a steady voice, clear, direct, and strong. Clear, direct, and strong. This is Captain Elias Ward of the Black Armada. To the people of Arcane, we are not here to destroy your world. We are not here to conquer you. We are here to free you. Confusion spread across the capital. Citizens paused in the streets. Soldiers froze at their posts. Counselors stared at their screens with pale faces. Ward continued, "Your rulers demanded Earth, Neil. But the Concord has demanded the same from countless worlds for centuries. They forced your neighbors to pay endless tribute. They enslaved entire species. They hid truths, silenced voices, and crushed hope wherever it appeared." He pointed toward the defense towers, and when humanity refused to kneel, they tried to erase us. They wanted one more victory, one more world under their boot. Ward's voice hardened like steel. But this time, the galaxy stood up. At that moment, dozens of hidden messages began leaking across the capital. Evidence of Concord cruelty. Lists of conquered planets. Images of broken cities. Testimonies from species thought extinct. Data pulled from secret archives the Black Armada had liberated. The truth spread faster than fire. Crowds gathered in shock. Whispers grew into gasps. Some soldiers lowered their weapons, trembling with guilt and anger inside the Concord Council Tower. The High Council panicked, blocked the transmissions, shut down the public channels. Stop the humans before they reach orbit. Destroy them now. But the Black Armada did not fire a single shot. Instead, it hovered in perfect formation, watching as Archaon fell into its own crisis. The people were rising not with weapons, but with truth, for the first time in its long history. Archaon shook from the inside. Ward watched quietly as reports came in. Small uprisings. Mutinies within defense fleets. Captains refusing orders. Civilians storming government towers. The Concord was crumbling not because humans attacked, but because their own people finally saw the truth. Ward whispered to himself, "This was never a war for land. It was a war to break chains." The heart of the Empire was beginning to fracture, and soon, the whole galaxy would change. Archaon, the heart of the sovereign Concord, had never known fear. But now, fear was everywhere. Crowds filled the crystal streets. Defense alarms continued to howl across the sky. Soldiers who once marched with pride now stumbled in confusion, unsure who the enemy truly was. Screens in every direction showed the exposed truth of the Concord's crimes. And above the planet, the Black Armada waited in silent formation, like dark guardians watching a long-awaited dawn inside the council tower. Panic ruled. Counselors scrambled from table to table, shouting orders that no one obeyed. Generals demanded their troops fire on the humans, but their own officers refused. Some soldiers dropped their weapons. Others walked out entirely, unable to fight for rulers who had lied for so long. The High Commander slammed his staff against the floor. "We must respond. We must crush them now, or the Concord will fall." But a low voice spoke from the back of the chamber. "It has already fallen." An old counselor, older than any other, stepped forward. His scales had faded with age, and his eyes were soft with a sadness no one had seen before. "The people have turned against us," he said quietly. "Our fleets will not fight. Our allies will not answer. Our own citizens now see what we are. We built an empire on fear. And fear has come back to us." He looked up at the great window, at the Black Armada hovering beyond the clouds. "Humanity did not destroy us," he whispered. "We destroyed ourselves." Meanwhile, aboard the Night Reaper, Captain Elias Ward watched the chaos unfold. He could have ordered an attack. He could have burned Archaon to ashes. But that wasn't why he came. Open communication, he said. The channel connected. Every citizen of Archaon heard his voice. "People of the Concord." Ward said steadily, "You have suffered under rulers who believed strength meant cruelty. They demanded Earth kneel, but they demanded the same of you. Every day." He paused as he watched thousands of faces turn upward, listening. You were never our enemy. You were prisoners in your own empire. Across the planet, crowds began to chant not for war, but for the end of the Concord's rule. Soldiers laid down their weapons. Some even saluted the sky as if to honor the courage they saw in humanity. Ward continued, "This is not humanity's victory. This is yours. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. We are here to help you stand." His voice grew stronger. "You choose what comes next. Not us. Not your old rulers, you." That was the final blow, not a weapon, not a battle, but freedom. The High Council surrendered soon after, not to Earth, but to their own people. The Concorde collapsed like a dying star, leaving behind a galaxy hungry for change. Dozens of species formed a new alliance, one built on cooperation. Not fear, and at its center stood Earth, not as a conqueror, not as a tyrant, but as a symbol of defiance, a small world that refused to kneel. When Captain Ward finally returned to Earth, the docks were filled with cheering crowds. Children held signs with drawings of black Armada ships. Families reached out to touch the hands of the soldiers who stepped off the ramps. Ward himself walked quietly through the celebration, humbled by what humanity had achieved, not through domination, but through bravery. As night fell, Ward gazed at the stars. "They ordered Earth to kneel," he said softly, "but humanity rose, and the galaxy will never forget it. He will never forget it."